You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Monday, 20th day of October, 2025. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. Now, the first live broadcast is our live training room. So to get in there, you need to be one of our traders or taking your 1-week free trial. If you have not yet taken your 1-week free trial, when Michael joins us in about an hour, he'll walk you through step by step how to take the trial. Only take you a couple minutes. We'll get your indicators up and indicating today. Your trial will officially begin tomorrow and will run all the way through next Monday. The weekends don't count against you. There is no credit card required. And you're not just gaining access to the live training room. In addition to that, we treat you just like you are already a member. A bona fide passport holder with access to everything. The weekly zones, the logic alerts, the concierge trade alerts, the discussion groups in Telegram. Everything. For 5 consecutive trading days. Because we want you to be able to make a well-informed, intelligent decision at the end of your trial as to whether or not trading is right for you. So again, Michael joins us, top of the hour. He'll walk you through it step by step. Now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do it once. Go here to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says noon broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. Going forward, every trading day you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In the email, there will be a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it will automatically log you into our platform. The benefit of doing it that way, you'll have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. And if the stream to YouTube drops, well, guess what? It won't drop on you. Which brings up another point. There will be days when you're out of the office, away from your desktop, but you still want to join live. And there'll be days when you're busy, so you can't join live, but you do want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. But all you have to remember is youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, We also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,900 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. youtube.com/CFRN. On the left side of the screen, you'll see our schedule for each afternoon broadcast. So we're going to dive right into our daily devotional. And we're beginning a new topic this week: learning to share your faith. Even if you've been a believer for a very long time, you may find it still is somewhat difficult for you to share your faith with others. So we're going to spend quite a few days on this topic so that you can fulfill the Great Commission. And by the way, the Great Commission is not to get people to come to church and recite some magical prayer. The Great Commission is to make disciples of men. See, that takes a lot of work. Hope you're up for the task. Today's scripture is Romans 10, verses 1 through 3. I'm going to share it from the Message translation. Believe me, friends, all I want for Israel is what's best for Israel. Salvation, nothing less. I want it with all my heart and pray to God for it all the time. I readily admit that the Jews are impressively energetic regarding God, but they are doing everything exactly backward. They don't seem to realize that this comprehensive setting things right, that is salvation, is God's business, and a most flourishing business it is. Right across the street, they set up their own salvation shops and noisily peddle their knockoffs. After all these years of refusing to really deal with God on His terms, insisting instead on making their own deals, and they have nothing to show for it. Again, Romans 10, 1 through 3 from the Message translation. Day 1, heart check. Have you ever had a medical checkup to see if you are healthy? Well, it's time to examine the health of your heart. The following 2 questions can help reveal the health of your heart for other people. Ready? Number 1. What do you want most for others? 2. What do you pray for others? The Apostle Paul provides his answers to these questions. His heart's desire and his prayer was that his people, the Israelites, would be saved. In fact, his desire was so great that he experienced sorrow and anguish over their spiritual condition. We often lack the passion and prayer that Paul possessed. We can be honest about that, but we don't have to stay that way. Prayer is a key. Ask God to give you a heart for the lost. Ask Him to help you care about people's eternal destiny and their present condition. So you thought all you had to do was just get saved and then wait to go to heaven. Oh no. He's called you to much more than that. Here's something to think about till tomorrow's installment. What we want for others is often revealed by our prayers. And mic drop. A lot of people right now are going, uh-oh. I don't really pray for others. Well, there you go. Learn something new every day, huh? So, take a step. Throughout this week, ask God to give you a heart that desires for others to know Jesus Christ just as well as you do. Maybe even better. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, give us the same heart Paul had, for all people to be saved and to know your righteousness. Forgive us for the times we try to stand on our own efforts instead of resting in Christ. Open our eyes to your grace and let us walk humbly in the righteousness that comes only from you. In Jesus' name, we believe and pray. And everybody said, Amen. Amen and happy Monday. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. Start in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Currently the Dow up 358 points. The NASDAQ up 297. That's a little over 1.25%. S&P 500 up 60, almost 1%. And the Russell 2000, our man in the street, up 33 points, almost 1.5%. Strong day to the upside. In the commodity basket, crude oil is a different story, down 45 cents. Again, trading 57.09 or 57.06 last. It's a drop of almost 1%. Gold. Hold on to your hat, man. Gold's up at $148.40. And I wish Dr. Tom and John could have lived to see this. That's a gain of 3.5%. Silver up $1.26, trading 51.37 last. That's a gain of 2.5%. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 1,603 points. That's almost 3.5%. Shanghai rose 24. The Hang Seng gained 611. That's almost 2.5%. Oh, it just flashed on my screen. President Trump is currently meeting with Australia's Prime Minister at the White House. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE up 49. The DAX up 460. That's almost 2%. The CAC up 31. So it's a rare day that I get to say this, but we had a green day in Asia. It was a green day for the UK. And it's a big green Radio Monday here in the US of A. Let's check out the news. Millions of people made fools of themselves across the country on Saturday with this No Kings protest. I uploaded a link. Some of you saw it, I'm sure, in the Breeze channel. Nancy Pelosi, Queen Nancy, the Democratic Queen, snapped. A reporter asked her a very reasonable question. She turned around and just said, "Shut up. Why do you come in here with those Republican talking points?" And the reporter says, "Well, American people have questions." And then the reporter, it was priceless. She turned and looked at the camera and just smiled with a little twinkle in her eye. That became a meme that just was all over the internet. Far more people saw that than saw the protest. So, if we had a king, the government wouldn't be closed, would it? If we had a king, he'd just, by decree, declare the government's open for business, all is well in the kingdom. But no, we have a president who follows the law. And so many of these quote-unquote protesters, I watched a lot of news interviews. A lot of these people, they really didn't even understand what they were protesting. And we know that many of them are paid protesters because they keep showing up in the same places over and over again. And while you've got a few homemade signs out in the crowd to make it look real, the tactical gear, some of the professionally made signs kind of give it away. This whole protest business is financially backed by the left. They can't get it together to get the government reopened, but they can get behind this nonsense. Moving on. A team of robbers made off with priceless jewelry from the Louvre yesterday. If any of you have ever visited Paris, I'm sure you've been to the Louvre. Reports suggest 9 pieces, including jewels owned by Emperor Napoleon, were taken. Now, they did this at 9:30 a.m. The museum was open. This was in broad daylight. 3 or 4 thieves approached the exterior of the building where renovation work was taking place. They used a lift mechanism on a truck and an angle grinder to get into the first floor. They then broke 2 display cases in the museum's Apollon wing, which houses French crown jewels, stealing the loot and fleeing on motor scooters, probably Vespas. One of the greatest vehicles I ever owned was a Vespa. But anyway, some jewelry was recovered. The raid itself lasted about 7 minutes, from the time they began till they got away on their scooters. Some jewelry was recovered nearby. The rest, well, criminals have it. Authorities have closed the museum to visitors while their investigation continues. This has got to be incredibly embarrassing to the security team at the Louvre. The Louvre is the world's most visited museum, with up to 30,000 daily visitors. 30,000 a day. The museum's most famous heist was the Mona Lisa, which was stolen back in 1911. And the Mona Lisa was hanging just 1 floor below where this team of robbers over the weekend made off with Napoleon's jewels. It was a busy Saturday as the White House announced plans to repatriate 2 alleged drug traffickers who survived a U.S. military strike on Thursday. The men, I talked about this last week that, what about the submarines? Well, the men will be sent to their respective home countries of Colombia and Ecuador. The strike was the U.S. 6th attack on narco-trafficking boats since early September. A 7th strike Friday killed 3 alleged drug traffickers affiliated with a Colombian left-wing group. At least 30 people have been killed since last month as part of the U.S. campaign against drug cartels, and probably 100,000 or more lives have been saved because this deadly fentanyl did not make it into the United States. Thursday's strike targeted a semi-submersible in the Caribbean Sea near Venezuela, killing 2 of the 4 people on board. A U.S. helicopter rescued the other 2 men and detained them. This is the first such strike with known survivors. The strikes have strained tensions between the U.S. and Colombia, which the Trump administration accuses of failing to stem the drug trade. President Donald Trump yesterday said he would end foreign aid to Colombia over the issue, and he well should. Their entire economy is run by the drug industry and the cartels. They need to find another way of making a living. They've been killing Americans with their deadly drugs for a very long time. Some think their heyday was back in the 70s, the disco days, when everybody was sniffing that little white powder, Everybody had that little Coke spoon hanging around their neck like a piece of jewelry. That was nothing compared to what's going on now with this deadly fentanyl flowing into our country. And it's so cheap, so plentiful and so cheap. Because it only takes just a tiny amount. But go get them, gang. Okay, stock markets talk. U.S. stocks stepped higher today as Wall Street kicked off a packed week full of high-profile earnings and a delayed release of key inflation data. Remember, we had some government reports, economic reports, that have not come out during this shutdown. It seems like we just started earnings season. Boy, time flies. But obviously, it's now time for earnings season again. I have a list for you tomorrow, or Stefan usually publishes in the Breeze channel a list of what the big names are that are reporting. Speaking of the government shutdown, it is now the 3rd longest federal work stoppage in U.S. history and has no end in sight as party leaders on both sides continue to wait for the other side to blink. Meanwhile, the days ahead are expected to see increasing economic costs. At the end of the week, a key set of federal workers are scheduled to miss their first full paycheck of the cycle. The government's payroll calendar notes that Friday is an electronic deposit deadline for the pay period from October 4th through the 18th. If you want to get a man's attention, put your hand in his pocket, okay? Now, don't go there. I'm talking about his money. For markets, the greatest challenge so far has arguably been the vacuum of government data, such as the delayed monthly jobs report, that has deprived investors and Federal Reserve policymakers of updates on the economy. Give me a break. The Fed got the numbers. One piece of data will become public this week when September inflation data is belatedly released on Friday. The shutdown has already affected other sectors from farming to housing, though the administration has made moves to pay some government workers, from TSA agents to active duty members of the military, temporarily lessening those economic pain points. President Trump has floated a list of demands for China. He did this yesterday, citing rare earths, fentanyl, and soybeans as his top issues to address with Beijing at the negotiating table and before the fragile tariff and trade truce between the world's largest economies expires. Let it expire, because guess what? We don't need China. China needs us. We don't need China. Trump said on Air Force One, "I don't want to play the rare earth game with them." Last week, Trump said threatened high tariffs on Chinese goods were not sustainable, easing fears of further trade escalation between the countries, and helping to boost stocks. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the countries will hold talks later this week, and Trump and the Chinese president are scheduled to meet later this month. And with all that going on, the Apple new iPhone 17 outperformed its predecessors in early sales in both China and the United States, according to research firm Counterpoint. The newer models outsold the iPhone 16 series by 14% during their first 10 days of availability in the two countries. And Apple is up $10 a share today. Oh, it's so hard to look at. I know you're tired of hearing me talk about the time I almost bought a ton of Apple at $12.50 a share and did not. And here it is, up $10.85 in one day. So I just got to live with that and stop complaining about it. God orders a man's steps, right? Yeah, whatever. Now, I'm going to say this one last time, and then I'm going to assume you've all taken care of it. If you're running Windows 10 and your machine is old enough that it won't upgrade to Windows 11, go to the Windows Update page, and it will tell you that you're out of date. You can't get any more updates. But if you look right below that, you'll say, if you're unable to update, you can enroll to receive updates for one more year while you get your act together and buy a new machine. All you got to do is click the enroll button. It'll walk you through a few steps like logging into your Microsoft account. And if you've got everything already backed up, it will give you a success pop-up. It says, okay, you're covered for one more year. Now, because they're going to be dealing with all these, issues with Windows 11, Windows 10 is not going to be their highest priority. Yes, they've promised you another year of updates. But these hackers, they're going to be trying every trick in the book to break into Windows 10 machines. Because as they scan the net and networks, they can see what kind of machine you're running and what operating system you're running, etc. So they're really going to be hyper-focused on that. So make sure you've got your Windows updates on to update automatically, okay? Because you don't want to get infected. I ran a deep Malwarebytes scan the other day. I ran 17 hours. And now one of my machines updated in the 1 year enrollment for updates on the first try. On my other computer, I spent like 3 or 4 days. It would get all the way almost there, and then it would say something failed, probably on our side. Try again later. So I just kept mindlessly trying again, and I don't know, maybe 25, 30 times I tried, and finally everything came together, and it said, success. You're now enrolled. And on my Windows Update page, instead of it saying you're out of date, it said you're up to date. So just in the bottom left corner of your Windows screen on your computer, just type in Windows Update, hit enter. It will take you right to that page. And you should see in the upper left there, near the very top of the page, where it says Enroll. That's the button you want to click. Merck the pharmaceutical giant, said today it has begun construction of a $3 billion pharmaceutical manufacturing facility in Elkton, Virginia, as part of its more than $70 billion investment to expand manufacturing and research and development in the U.S. Now, that's going to create a lot of jobs. Kurt says, so you are recommending to update Windows 10 to 11 if possible on my machine? Absolutely, if you can, Kurt, because otherwise, the best thing to do is to update to 11. Okay, but if your machine is old and won't allow you to update to 11, then on the Windows Update page, you'll see up at the top, it says you can enroll in their special ESU program, which will give you updates for just one more year while you get your new machine. Okay, so if your machine's not old, then yes, you need to upgrade to 11, because Windows is no longer providing updates and security patches for Windows 10, unless you enroll in the special program I just spoke of. Now, on your Windows computer, you can go down to the little window on the bottom left where it says PC Health Check. You might even have a little blue heart on your taskbar. You want to open that up, and it will tell you whether or not your computer will handle Windows 11. Okay. In my case, even though I have an i7 processor, it's one of them mid-range, and they want you to have, it's got to be in the upper range. So anyway, if you need any help with that, just hit me up in Telegram, because I've been through it. Oh boy, I'm glad I finally got it done. Thank you, Jesus. So anyway, global drug makers have been rushing to boost their U.S. investment to shore up their manufacturing capacity after President Trump urged the industry to make more medicines domestically rather than importing active ingredients or finished medicines from other countries. This year, at least 14 major drug makers across the world announced plans to expand their U.S. manufacturing presence to mitigate supply chain risk and reassure investors as companies across sectors navigate a tough tariff environment in the country. The stock market is, of course, entering the third week of the government shutdown along with the government. At the closing bell on Friday, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the Dow all managed to eke out gains to cap a volatile week that saw swings for all of the major indexes each day. This week, investors will get some clarity on the economic picture, with the Bureau of Labor Statistics set to publish the Consumer Price Index, the CPI, one of the most watched measures of inflation, on Friday after a delay from its originally planned release date of October 15th. With the shutdown still in effect, the FOMC will also enter its blackout period ahead of the committee's October meeting, which is set to take place October 28th and 29th. Well, that's good. I guess they'll be able to lower rates a point or two. Wouldn't that be nice? Evernorth, a new crypto venture backed by digital asset firm Ripple, said today it will list on the NASDAQ through a merger with blank check firm Armada Acquisition Corp. And is expected to raise more than $1 billion in proceeds. The digital asset treasury will focus on accumulating XRP, a token linked to Ripple, and the fifth largest cryptocurrency by market cap, according to data from CoinGecko. The move comes months after Wall Street's top regulator ended a high-profile crypto lawsuit which accused Ripple of selling unregistered securities to institutional investors. After all that noise, the SEC just decided to drop it. And that's a good thing. All right, let's move on to some local news. There's lots more news I could share with you and would like to share with you, but we only have so much time. So last week, week 376, Logic 247. That's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. We issued a total of 69 alerts. Now, over the last 376 weeks, we've issued over 20,700 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. So last week, we issued a total of 69 alerts. 6 of them never triggered. It gave us 63 actionable alerts, of which 8 or 13% would have been stopped out based on simple market structure and the simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now this week, week 377, Valerie did the recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. So some things have changed since then. Of course, she'll update it this afternoon as she does each day. Since the market opened last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we issued a total of 14 logic alerts. Still, at the time she did the recap, because it was so flat overnight, we were still waiting on the outcome of 11. That gave us 3 actionable alerts, of which 1 stopped out. But that's still 33%. Now again, over the last 377 weeks and over 20,700 individual handcrafted alerts, in fact, we're closing in on 20,800, we've averaged 20% or less being stopped out on a weekly basis. So this is because we only had 3 trigger last night. So let's hope when the updated recap comes out this afternoon, things will look a little bit better. Now, every logic alert has an entry price, long or short. Then there's an initial target designed to help you get your goal for the day. Then typically there will be additional targets and then a final trade to target. The purpose of the alerts is to help you to learn how to read a chart. Until you can read a chart and build a narrative off of your reading of the chart, it's very difficult to learn how to trade. Unless you're trying to use one of these parlor tricks or, smoke and mirrors, magic acts, which don't last for long. First, you got to learn to read the chart. Then you can learn how to trade. Okay? Now, the logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. 377 weeks is a very long time. We can all agree on that. Quite a few years before there was a Logic 247. I don't know, at least 4 or 5 years. I should go back and look. But not right now. We had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. And they're different in a lot of different ways. But for the purpose of this discussion, I'll just say they don't come out around the clock. They're published as a static report shortly before the Globex Open each evening. Typically 5:55 p.m. Eastern. As we all know, the Monday session began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. It'll end today at 5 p.m. Eastern. There'll be a 1-hour break, and then the Tuesday session will begin tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern. So all of our traders and even trial members had all of these targets 5 minutes before the market opened last night. The S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. So as we go through the individual markets, okay, in a granular fashion, and you see these targets, printed on the chart. Just remember, our traders and trial members had the targets 5 minutes before the market even opened. Okay? All right. So now we can start what we always do with the bellwether, the S&P 500 E-mini futures. Now, price always reverts to the mean. I don't care what strategy you use. I don't care what time frame you trade on. I don't care if you're a scalper. I don't care if you're a swing trader or a position trader. Price reverts to the mean. It's how markets work. In our case, the mean is green. We call it the BBC. It just stands for bull, bear, cross. When price crosses below the green line, as it did March 4th, we're bearish. Then when price crosses back above the green line, as it did April 24th, and then our confirmation came on April 25th when we had a candle open and close above the BBC, we went from bearish to bullish. Now, as I said, price always reverts to the mean. And you'll hear me say again and again, the pullback to the BBC holds more often than it doesn't. Pullback held, pullback held, pullback held, and then it held. And here is when we know it didn't hold, because we opened and closed above the BBC. And then the pullback held, the pullback held, pullback held, the pullback held, the pullback held, and you go, well, wait a minute, there's that red candle that goes way down. Right. But the following day, look where we are. Both candles are touching the BBC. You see, this candle is not touching the BBC. You see this candle? It's not touching the BBC, okay? Now, every single pullback held from April 25th, April 24th, 25th, even this nail biter last week, we had 2 Fridays ago, this huge down day, okay? But touching the BBC, touching it, touching it, touching it, touching it. Now we're back above it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This was a 6-day pullback, and the pullback held. Whoa. Now we're headed for the 50% fib extension, and then the all-time historic high, which is at 68.12 and a quarter. That's the all-time historic intraday high. The all-time historic closing high is 68.03 and a quarter. And we got a bullish Monday happening. And look at the step line. It's crossing back to the left side. It's getting above red and falling, which means if we continue this upward trajectory, red and falling is going to turn back to blue and climbing. Okay? Red and falling is bearish. Blue and climbing is bullish. All right. All of the alerts are created on the 30-minute chart. Nothing magic about 30 minutes. It's just the time frame I chose many years ago. And they say if it's not broke, leave it alone. So, you know, maybe 30 minutes is right for you. Maybe for you it's 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 4 hour. I don't know. It's got to be something larger than the range chart. Okay. This is my roadmap, right? This is where I know if I want to make a trade, long or short. Then I simply use the range chart to time my trigger with surgical precision. But this is what tells me what I want to do. Now, the vertical lines that you see separate today, Monday. Over here's Friday. Back here's Thursday. The horizontal lines are the weekly trading zones. They come out every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. These are the zones that came out last Monday at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Why? Well, because the alerts that I send out on Sunday night are based on the previous week's zones. Why? Because the new zones don't come out till Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once the new zones come out, then every alert I put out for the rest of the week will be based on the new zones. So on tomorrow's broadcast, you'll see this week's zones on my chart. This will be the last time you see last week's zones. Now, when price drops to a weekly trading zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. When price rallies up to a zone, as we gapped higher at the open last night, price ran into a weekly trading zone. Okay, so that's what we expect: support and resistance until proven otherwise, right? Now, we've published the zones every Monday for our members since December 14th of 2009, over 15 and a half years. This December will make 16 years. This December 14th will make 16 years that we've published them each and every week. And you know what's changed? Absolutely nothing. See that little wick sticking up above the zone? See that bearish cross from last Thursday? When you have a bearish cross that leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance. So there you go. Now, when you get a retracement that's unable to make it all the way back to the BBC, that's bullish, okay? Set us up to the zone where, again, we ran into resistance. Third time we managed to get through. Keep in mind, these are 30-minute candles. Now, these targets that you see drawn on here, okay, those are the ones you were just looking at that were published 5 minutes before the market opened last night. Before the market opened. So right here, price pulls back to the zone and the BBC. That's support times 2. When price drops to a zone, we expect support. When price pulls back to the BBC, we expect support until proven otherwise. So you got support times 2. And it was the Wall Street open this morning where we ding ding hit the long target. Now, this opening candle on Wall Street, we opened at 33.5 and ran up to 750, the target, 33.5. So what are we going to call it? 16 points? All right, you only need 2 points to get your goal for the day. Now, we actually traded higher on that first candle. We opened at 67.33 and hit a high of 54. So like 21 points in that first candle. But then we closed right below the long target. Now the long target, as you can see, was based off this high right here from Thursday. Okay, this is what I mean by market structure. This is what I mean about learning how to read a chart so that you know where to expect support and resistance. Also, on this move up, where we traded to and through the long target, notice that the black step line is on the left side of blue and climbing. Now, when the step line crosses blue and climbing to the right side, as it's about to do right here, see how these candles are getting smaller and smaller? Okay. When the step line crosses to the right side of blue and climbing, we expect a retracement back to the BBC. And as we know, the pullback holds more often than not. I'm going to suggest this is what happens. We continue consolidating sideways. The BBC rises to the long target. And then when we get that pullback, we're going to be pulling back into support times 2, both the BBC, because as we consolidate sideways, the BBC will keep rising. Okay. Once a step line crosses, look for the pullback. Then, of course, it becomes a question of will it hold or not. Again, you're looking at last week's zones, but if you're a member or if you're on the trial, you should be looking not only at last week's numbers on a Monday, but also, of course, the new weekly zones. As you can see, the zones have carryover power, resistance, which became support, right? From a zone published a week ago. Typically by Monday afternoon, Tuesday, the new zones have taken over. They've taken control. They become your new support and resistance. They become your new playing field for the week. All right. So let's go to the Dow. We had a gap higher open on the Dow last night. So we gapped above the zone, the weekly trading zone, and then we pulled back to the BBC. And as you can see, the pullback held. Then we got above the zone, and then we pulled back to the zone, just like we did on the ES. Pulled back held, gave us a leg, nice leg, more than enough to get your goal for the day. Okay. Then we get a retracement back to the BBC. The pullback holds. Now the zone is 46,420/25. So once again, the zone holds. Now on Friday, that same zone was resistance, resistance. We popped above it, and then we closed right at it. Okay. So it's still doing its work today. Now, price looks like it wants to go higher, but we've been consolidating a bit. So you see how the step line is attempting to make that cross to the right side of blue and climbing? When that happens, that's when you should expect price to retrace. Now, when price trades through the long target on a retracement, the top side of the long target can actually become support. That's why I'm thinking we consolidate just long enough for the BBC to align with the long target. Then we get our retracement back to support times 2. The Russell. Big day for the Russell. Russell had a gap higher open last night, and then it pulled back to the BBC. That's just how markets work. Leg, retracement. Leg, retracement. Pull back held. Leg. Now on the Russell, we did it in the 30-minute candle before the Wall Street open. ES and the Dow both hit the long target during the first 30 minutes of the Wall Street open, but the Russell led the pack and got there a little early. Okay. Now we've put in a high right here, which aligns right here. Okay. Resistance. Now I'm going all the way back. People always ask me, well, how far back do I have to look? As far as you need to, right? When price starts getting up here, you start looking back. Okay. Now, initially, this would have been we spiked that area. Okay. At this initial area here, you would pay attention to that. See this long target, it's based off this area right here. Okay. But we did manage to trade through it. And we made it all the way up to this high. Here, the step line's already crossed. But the markets are bullish, so we're trying to print a green candle. We are printing a green candle, but when blue and climbing gets directly above price, it becomes potential resistance. So this thing at some point is going to get a deeper retracement. Okay. Here, here, Let's see what happens here. If we trade through blue and climbing, okay, that'll be a little unusual, but hey, it can happen. Then you've got potential resistance there, potential resistance there, and then your next potential resistance is going to be here at about 25.19/25.20. Then here, then here. Okay, it's just like reading a newspaper. Except there's no words, paragraphs, punctuation, sentences. NQ. A slightly gap higher open last night, and then a retracement to the weekly zone. Pullback held. Gave us another leg. A retracement to the BBC. The pullback held. Then this morning, Wall Street open. Boom. Now we opened at 118 and ran up to 240. That's, oh, but let's just do it to the target. Let's keep it real. So we're going to call it 25,120. 59 points. All right, we'll call it 60 points at $20 a point. So from the opening bell on Wall Street to the long target, it's $1,200 per contract traded. Now the step line is about to cross blue and climbing. See, we've been consolidating sideways. Once that step line gets on the right side of blue and climbing, you should expect, just like right here, you see how the step line crossed from the left side to the right side? What price do? Pull back to the BBC. So that's exactly what we expect to happen here. And do you see how the BBC is positioned right there at the top side of that long target? Support times 2 right there. It's just waiting with open arms for the market to take a drop. Crude oil. While everything else is moving up, crude's moving on down. We did have a gap higher open last night, which, well, actually we did. Yeah, we did. And it filled in the first 30 minutes. So then we come down to the zone, last week's zone, 5685/5690. And we consolidated sideways right on up till 2 a.m. We made a little dip below. Okay, right here. And we continued to hug that zone, and then we dropped to the short target. Spiked it a little bit, pulled back to the BBC, the pullback held, and right now price is trapped. So we got 2 markets left, both gold and silver. Silver up $148 today, Michael.
Wow, that's a lot. 148 bucks
in one day. Yeah, and Apple's up over $10 today. And of course, I had to tell my story of the time I almost bought a boatload at $12.50 a share. And it's up over $10 in one day. But hey, this is the thing we call life. So, all right, guys.
Yes.
Michael's going to give us a recap of what happened in the live training room. When he's done, I'll be back. Let me get his charts positioned properly. Here we go. Okay, looks good.
All right. I just want to make sure everything is right here. Everything looks good. All right, let me make sure I put all my things on that I had on there this morning. Oh, they're there. Okay, good. Let me make sure I had all my drawing objects. All right, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, the 20th day of October, 2025. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button right here. There is no credit card required for the trial. Just click on that purple button and it's going to bring you to this registration page where all that we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Name, email, and phone number. Down at the bottom, make sure you give us a TradingView login ID. Okay. When you give us that login ID, we'll be able to get your indicators indicating on your desktop for you. Okay. We ended up having a pretty good day today. No thanks to the NQ, but many thanks to gold. I didn't realize that on Friday we had such a good day on gold too, but we did. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you have to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today we were minus 34 on the NQ, plus 36 on the YM, plus 155 on gold, plus 14 on the ES. That put us at $1,735 with one contract on the morning session. Today it took 13 minutes and 3 trades to get to $3,000 total, or $300 per contract. We ended up taking a total of 35 trades this morning, and we had 6 stop outs. So today, 82.85% of our trades were break even or better. On the month now, we're at $17,837. That's over 14 business days, averaging $1,274 per contract per 2-hour business day. On the year, we're at $219,755 with one contract, over 182 business days, averaging $1,207 per contract per 2-hour business day. That's right. Those numbers are right. Let's check that. 258S258S258. Yeah, that's all good. All right, so following the 24/20 blueprint, if you were to add one contract per month and quit trading when you get the goal for the day, so far this year you'd be at 10 contracts right now, halfway through the month at 10 contracts, and you would have only had to work 25.18 hours so far this year. You'd be up $166,747 if you did it just like me, and you only added one contract per month, and you quit trading when you got the goal for the goal being $100 per contract minimum. We'd be averaging $6,621 per hour. All right. That's all good stuff. Hang on a second. Let me just move that guy over here. Okay. And now let's see. Here we go. We have. Okay, let's start out with the gold. All right, we'll go over here. Well, actually, gold is where we have the majority of the trades. Let's start out with the YM. All right, I want to end with the gold because the gold is where we had the majority of the trades, and gold was really good to us today, as it was on Friday. The YM was pretty good to us. We had a stop out on there, but still pretty good. All right, our first trade on the YM was right here. We had a break even. The next trade we picked up 13 ticks, got us to plus 13. The next one we picked up 15 ticks, got us to 28. Then 5, that got us to 33. Then 3, that got us to 36, and then we stopped out. That put us down to 21. 5 there to get us to 26. 5 more to get us to 31, and then there's one more 5-tick trade right there to get us up to 36. And that is where we ended it with the YM. So during the break, let's see. During the break, there was, that would have been a long right there. That would have been a break even. This would have been a short here that you could have taken some profit on. It came right back up. It might have been a break even. It happened pretty quick. This would have been a long here. You could have taken profit on. The short there, you could have taken profit on. A short here, could have taken profit on. A long here, could have taken. That's not one. That's not one. That's a long here. You could have taken a little. This is a long here. That would have stopped you out. This is a long here. That might have stopped. No, actually, it wouldn't have stopped you out. That would have given either profit or a break even. And this one right here, profit or break even. Probably profit. And that was it for the YM. So the YM traded really well today. We did have one stop out in there, 2 stop outs altogether if you looked at all the trades. But all right, the ES, I hadn't really been paying that much attention to the ES, but we had our first trade here on the ES. We picked up 8 ticks, and we got one more to get us to 9, and then 5 there to get us to 14. So all 3 trades on the ES were profitable. After that, going during the break and everything else through here. This was a trade on the yes, that would have worked out. This was a trade, that would have worked out. This was a trade, that would have worked out. That I might not have done that. If I did, it would have been a break even, or it would have worked out, probably a break even. Nothing through there. This was a trade, would have worked out. Probably a tick or two anyway. This was finally a long trade right here, that would have worked out. That just happened. That was the yes. So the yes had some really good opportunity today too. Not quite as many as everything else, but it did have some opportunity. Now on the NQ, I'm just going to hit Control and back, so I can get back there a little quicker. We didn't have a ton of trades today on the NQ, and only our very first trade of the morning, right in here somewhere. Only our very first trade of the morning, that one right there, we picked up 4 ticks on that one. After that, it was all downhill. We stopped out on this trade. That put us at minus 21. Then got a break even there. We picked up 8 ticks on that, got us to minus 13. Then we stopped out. That put us at minus 38. Wait a minute. I didn't have to stop button. Okay, I got to go with just our numbers. We had a break even. Then we stopped out here. That put us at minus, hang on, minus 59. And one more stop. One more trade, one more stop. I got to go with just the numbers in a second. That put us at minus 59. Then right here we got 4 ticks in profit, so that would have put us at minus 55. Oh, minus, the way I had it, it would still be minus 59. The way the numbers worked out, it would still be minus 59. So it would have been from minus 38 to minus 63, and then we had a plus 4, would have been minus 59 is where we ended up. Okay, let me just go fix that before I forget. I want to get this right. This would have been minus 59. Okay, and this would have been 7, and this would have been 36. All right, so 80.5% of our trades were break even or better. At 36 trades, not 35, and minus 59 on the NQ. Let me get back over it there. I'm just going through it all. Okay, so during the break, let's just get into this. During the break, there was a trade there that would have been happened so fast it probably would have been a break-even trade if you got it at all. There was a trade right there that would have been a nice profitable trade. That's nothing. I'm not sure that that would have been a trade. This one here would have been a trade. You could have taken some profit. I think that would have been a trade. Right now, that wouldn't have been a trade. It wasn't flat. That wouldn't have been a trade. This would have been a trade right here. Just enough to get to break even. This would have been a trade there. Would have been profitable. This right here would have been a trade just enough to get to break even. This would have been a trade again. Break even. There are a lot of these. Oh, there weren't that many. Okay, let's just go through the rest of them. I was thinking we weren't going to go through them all because it was going to take so much time. This right here, that probably would have stopped you out to the tick right there before going to break even in here. Probably. I don't know for sure. If you entered at the right point, 1175, it ran up to 14. You need 2.5 points. Actually, that would have been a break even trade. It wouldn't have been a stop. There, nothing there, nothing. And that was it on the NQ. All right, so we're done unusually early going through all that stuff today. So we'll go out here. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com and click on this. There's no credit card required for the trial. That's going to bring you here. Just fill out the form. Once you fill out the form, make sure you give us your TradingView login ID down there at the bottom. Okay, give us that, and you'll be all set. Now, there is something that I did today for those of you guys who are watching who Ooh, hang on. Here it is. I created a video about how to move the stops to break even, right? Automatically set the stops to break even in Telegram. Go here to TIQ videos. You can see it right here, setting auto break even. You can watch that video there. All right, I think I did one last week too. I think how to set this. Yeah, I did one last week too, right here. I did it again today. This was on the NQ this morning because my NQ was a little messed up. I also posted all of my files in here that you need to use to get your Sierra working just like mine. You got to stick them all in this place and then open that chart book. The one thing that's got to be changed is this guy right here. Anyway, I wanted to show you guys that. It's in TIQ videos and Telegram. All right, go check that out if you want to. And let me open the question box to see if there is a question. There is a question. Kurt. All right, so you were talking to Dwayne on that one. All right. Okay. All right, so we'll just get in here and trade now, I guess. That was in Telegram under the TIQ videos. That is a public channel. You can all go out there and look at that channel if you want to. Okay. All right. Trade setting up. We almost have something here on gold. We need to get into the overbought and come out of the overbought. All three of the indexes are in the green and they need to pull back. This didn't get into the oversold right here, so you didn't have a trade right there. But it did get into the overbought. So now it just needs 2 down closes to get into the oversold, followed by an up close. Okay. And I feel like there was something else I was going to show you or tell you. I don't remember what it was. This is the ES on the day. Look at it. It's on a tear. We're at the high of the day right now. High of the day. What's this guy doing? He's not at the high of the day, but he's still up there. We didn't get into the oversold. We need a down close on this bar and then an up close on the next one on the NQ. Okay. All right. So now we just have to wait a little bit. Does anybody have any questions? This is going to be too far away from the midpoint, I think. Oh, wait. It could be right on it on the NQ. What's the low of that bar? The low is at 28, so 33 is what you would be buying, 5 points above the bottom of the bar. It looks like it could happen. Here it is. It's right there. There it is. Okay, it just filled me. Now this has got the auto stop on it, so once it goes 10 ticks into profit, it should automatically bump the stop to break even for me. Okay. And that is the only thing we have going right now. It's this guy right here. It's gonna get 10 ticks. That would be at 35.5. And 40.50 is where this swing high is right there. 40.50. gold is tanking here. That should be good for the indexes. Go back on gold. It needs to hit the midpoint. It needs to hit the midpoint. Just came out of the overbought, reset the midpoint. Okay, and get the Stevie Wonder song stuck in my head. I don't know why. Right. Once it gets to 10 ticks in profit, it stops your bump to break even automatically on that. All right. The internet just had another global outage. Didn't hurt this part of the globe. What was the name of that company that caused that the last time? I forgot the name of it. There, it just went to break even. Okay. Let's just lock in a tiny bit on this. Two more. Was it CloudStrike or something like that? All right, so we have one point locked in on the NQ right now. This is not a trade over here on gold. Not yet. Right here is where the NQ should get up to 40 and a quarter right now. Right, it took me out with 1 point, but it should get up here to 40 and a quarter. 40 and a quarter. Look, 40 and a half is actually the what it's looking for right there. All right, that is the only trade we've had so far. It's 1:17, so we have 13 minutes left. Hopefully we'll get another one in here. Another one or two. Hopefully. All right, that did get up to the number I was looking for, 40 and a quarter, I think, right? Yeah, it did. The next number up on that is all the way up at 45. It's right below the high of the day. The next number up on the DOM on the NQ is 45. Okay. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Oops. I just minimized my NQ DOM by accident. Hang on. Find it. Here it is. It's back. This number right here. So if we get a trade set up on the way up there, you want to take advantage of that. The gold didn't come off the midpoint right there, I don't think. But that's really close. Well, I didn't get filled on it anyway. Here's my order waiting up there. Cancel all. All right, it wasn't off the midpoint. This last one looks like it was right there, but this was the one that actually came out of the overbought right here. And there's that 45 number I was just talking about. We're not in the overbought on the gold here, so that's not a trade. It actually complicates things a little bit, setting up a trade setup. On the YM, we need a down close followed by an up close. Down close followed by an up close on the YM. Now on the gold, we just need the down close. Okay, still just need the down close. That was too far away. It's too far away. The NQ is almost going to trade. The YM is almost going to trade. So on the NQ, you need an up close off the midpoint. It's just about at the midpoint right there. It goes down one more tick. Could be good. It's got a low here, 39.5. And there it is, one tick lower. So from 39 now up to 43. No, 44. Sorry, 44. Right, 5 points from the bottom of the bar. 33. That's 750 up to 250 right now on the NQ. That's the NQ. Okay, the YM just needs an up close where it is. The NQ needs an up close where it is. And triggered in, we did trigger in on the NQ. It's 10 ticks into profit. That stop will go to break even automatically. We don't have anything over here on that. We still need the up close on the YM. And the NQ is pulled back a little bit here from the trigger. Okay, so still waiting for the up close on the YM right now. And we have this live NQ trade right now. Our stop is 25 ticks away here on the NQ. We closed down on that bar. We can't go down anymore. It's got to go up from here. The YM just closed up, so the YM's got the trade here now too. Okay. And we're about to stop out on the NQ, I think. And here, I just jumped on the YM. So we have a YM trade that's just went to break even. And we have the NQ trade that never went enough to get to break even. Okay, the YM's going into the high of the day. The NQ, high of the day was up there at 50 that we hit from our last entry. We went up to 50. We're still in the NQ. Surprising. I'm locking just a couple of ticks on the YM. Close up above the midpoint here. NQ could turn into something that was really close to stopping me out. Okay, I want to lock in 5 over here on the YM, but we're not there yet. Nope, it just got me out with 2. All right, so 2 on the YM. This is on top. It is 2 little ones there. So I got a point on the NQ and 2 ticks on the YM so far. And still waiting on this NQ to do something. The ES is not pulled back down to the midpoint yet. That is what we're waiting for. Gold just flipped the YBR, so gold is starting to go long over here. Now we had 1 stop out on gold this morning. Maybe 2 stop outs on gold. We had a bunch of trades. Might have 2. I'll have to go look again in a minute. This NQ trade is taking a long time. It's a lot of bars. But that up close right there is a positive development with the trade. And gold, I don't think it's going to turn into anything. I don't know, but I don't think it's going to turn into anything. We need a down close followed by an up close. It could happen. It could turn into a long trade still. A down close now followed by an up close on the gold could turn into a trade. Okay. Thank you. Trying again. It's almost there. I want to go and micromanage the thing. Okay, that was a positive development. It's just a couple of ticks away from getting a break even. It just went to break even. Just went to break even automatically. Okay, so let's lock in a couple of ticks on that. We have 3. All right, well, that turned into a positive trade after all. So we have 3 positive trades so far. And the gold didn't turn into a trade at all. And the ES still hasn't given us anything. That was a couple of ticks away from stopping me out. That was close. Especially on the YM, the way it bounces around. All right. So we have about 5 more minutes. Gold. I don't think gold can turn into anything, can it? No. That's at 0.4. And the low is at 0.3, I think. Oh, the low's at 0.4. Gold could turn into something. Nope, it can't now. Could have a minute ago, but now it's too low. What I was looking for was for the high to get back to the midpoint right here. That's what I was looking for. This is not a trade here. The commodity oversold. This is not even close to a trade. We're nowhere near the midpoint on the ES. We didn't finish the cycle over here on the YM, and the gold is almost hitting the YBR. We're flipping it right now. And we have 3 minutes left. So, again, how it went today, we're up $1,610. I got to go through all that stuff again. Today we finished out with $1,610. We were minus 59 on the NQ, plus 36 on the YM, plus 155 on gold, plus 14 on the ES, so 1610 this morning. Today it took 13 minutes and 3 trades to get to $3,000 with 10 contracts, or 300 with 1. And we took a total of 36 trades with 7 stop outs. So 80.5% of our trades were break even or better. So right now in the month, we're at 17,710. Over 14 days, averaging 1265 per day on the month. And on the year now, we're at 219,630, or 182 days, averaging $1,206 per contract per day on the year. Right, the 24/20 blueprint, averaging $6,621 per hour for the 25.18 hours you would have worked, getting your goal for the day. Okay, if you haven't taken a free trial, go here to mytradingiq.com. Click on the purple button. There is no credit card required. It'll bring you to the registration page. Just fill it out. Okay. I can see, did we get any trades while I was doing that? Almost here on the gold. I guess that is a trade there on the gold. Can still get it, I think. Did it hit the midpoint? It didn't actually hit the midpoint, so it's not a trade on gold. All right. Well, now it's hit the midpoint, but it's already out of the overbought. You could do the pullback thing and jump on it right here, I guess, if you wanted to. That would put your stop above the midpoint if you wanted to. We have over here on the ES, it's got to get all the way down to the midpoint and get out of there. That's what you're looking at with the ES. Okay, and there goes the gold. If you took that gold, looks like it probably would have worked out for you. It's this point, maybe not. No, probably not. I don't know. I didn't do any of it. But on the ES, we need to get down to the midpoint and bounce, and I don't think that's going to happen. On the YM, we need to get into the over. Now we're in green. We're not going to have a trade there. We're not going to have a trade here on the NQ. The NQ's got to go all the way into the overbought and come all the way back down. So it's not going to happen. The gold is the closest thing we have here. We have about 10 or 15 seconds left. If the gold gives us a trade here, I'll take it. And we can let it run. But depends what happens on this bar. This bar closes up. Then we'll wait. It closes down. All right. Well, this one, if you get it up close, it just gapped up like that. Okay, now that didn't come together right. You see how you had a down close and that went up into the overbought. I'm not going to mess with that. So here we go again. If you haven't taken a free trial, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button, no credit card required. It's going to bring you to this page. Just fill out the form. All right. Again, today we finished with $1,610. I had missed one stop out there, but I corrected it. $1,610 per contract this morning. Averaging, well, today 80.5% of our trades were break even or better. All right. That is it. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
Yep.
Excellent.
Okay, recap of the morning session.
Today, it took 13 minutes and 3 trades to get to $3,000 with 10 contracts.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Oh, you had asked me, I think this morning, if everything looked the same and if I was able to log in okay. I didn't notice anything different until the afternoon broadcast. Oh, wait a minute. Now it's there. Earlier it wasn't. Remember all those files? Where I play the intro, I play the outro.
Yep.
Earlier the files weren't there, but now suddenly they're there. So I was going to have to tell everybody that I got to go find the original source file, and tomorrow I'll play the outro. But I can still just play it from here. Maybe we're still running off the old month. Maybe our new month hasn't kicked in yet.
No, it kicked in the day after, remember?
Well, they charged us, but I don't know if it kicked in.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, because
I don't know on your end, because you have some things that I don't.
I think
as far as those files go.
As far as what?
Those files go with the intro and the outro and all that stuff.
No, if you just go to the share button. Well, you can't now because I got the screens. But when you have the screens, if you go to the share button, you'll see all those folders because they're uploaded. And I was trying to find the outro. I already knew where the intro was. I played that at the beginning of the broadcast. But now that I can see the outro, rather than look for it, I'll just download it. In fact, let me go there right now. Let me right click and see if it'll let me save it. It won't. But at least I know the name of the file, so it'll make finding it much easier. Okay.
All right.
Alrighty then. Well, I know you got things to do. And so you're in tomorrow morning, right?
Yep. Tomorrow I'm back. Be normal. Everything's normal tomorrow. And Wednesday's when it's not.
Okay.
Then you're going to be out Thursday, Friday, right?
Yep.
Okay. Good. Excellent.
Yep. All right, guys. Here's where we left off on gold. Again, if you're arriving late, the vertical lines separate today, Monday, back here's Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. These are last week's zones because the alerts that go out Sunday night are based on last week's zones. Everything that goes out after the new zones are issued Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, all alerts are based on the new zones. Okay, so that was last week's highest weekly zone. So on Friday, we came down and tapped it. We traded above it quite a bit. And then gold had another pretty good day today. But look, see the step lines crossing, okay? So what do we expect? Retracement to the BBC. It's just how it works. Look up here. Step line crosses, drop to the BBC. When the black step line crosses red and falling, retracement to the BBC. It's all part of learning how to read the chart and understand our humble set of indicators. Okay, so last night, this was the opening candle, okay, and we dropped basically to this low right here from Friday. We staged a little bit of a rally, and then if you look at it big picture, this is Friday's leg down, found support at the highest weekly zone and bounced us up last night into the BBC. Ran up to here. We caught a drop. Okay. Now this low lines up with these lows right here. Okay. So we get back above the BBC, then we're below it, then we're above it. And then right here we begin the climb about 7 o'clock this morning. And look, on the way up, you got price, you got the black step line, you got blue and climbing. Now, for those of you that were tuned in earlier, I went over this quite a few times. When the step line crosses from the left side to the right side of balloon climbing, as you can see, black line on the left side of the blue line. Now where's the black line? It's on the right side of the blue line, right? Okay, so what do we expect? A retracement. Back to where? The BBC, 43.25. We know the pullback holds more often than it doesn't, like it did when we were climbing. Pullback held, pullback held, pullback held, pullback held, pullback held, pullback held, and then we finally traded through. That's how it works. Then we found support at the zone, and the pullback held. And then this pullback, see, we had a candle that opened and closed that wasn't touching the BBC. So that would lead you to believe that higher prices are coming. Okay, but you know you got to get above this high right here before you can even think about taking a long trade. Why? Because you expect that to be good resistance until proven otherwise. And so we got a leg and a retracement. We pulled back into blue and climbing, found support. And when you get support at blue and climbing and you don't have to pull all the way back to the BBC, you know you got a really bullish move on your hands. And it pushed us right up through the long target. Step line is crossed. Now we're looking for the retracement back to the BBC. Then it becomes a matter of, does it hold or not? If it holds, look for another leg to the upside. If it doesn't hold, there's a number of areas for potential support on the way down. There's a really good one right there. Okay. And then you got another really good one right there. And then right here, you got the bullish cross. That's when the blue line gets above the green line and leads to an extended move. First time price revisits that area will almost always be good support. Okay. Now again, on tomorrow's broadcast, you'll see this week's zones. Silver had that same leg down like gold. Okay. And it's attempting to recover, but it isn't recovered yet to the degree that gold has. But we had a leg, we had a retracement, and then a leg, and a retracement, and a leg, and a retracement, and a leg. Now you see the step lines crossed, so the question will be, does this pullback hold? If it doesn't, then look for support here, here, here. And then you got this double bottom or quadruple bottom, okay, and then you're at the short target. So that's where silver is. Silver just kind of hanging out there, okay? Now, for those of you that didn't tune in early, at the beginning of the broadcast, here's where we opened last night. We ran right into a weekly zone, which we expect to be resistance until proven otherwise, and it was. So we had a leg and a retracement on Friday, a leg that carried over into the open last night, and we got our retracement. And the fact that it didn't pull all the way back to the BBC, that tells you you got a bull on your hands. So back we go to the zone that was published a week ago at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. We get above the zone, 67.22.23, and we pull back to the zone and the BBC. That's support times 2. And off we go. And it was during the 9:30 opening candle on Wall Street. Remember, these are 30-minute candles that we hit the zone. Okay, this candle opened at 67.34 and ran up 16 points to the target. Now I went further, but you only need 2 points to get your goal for the day. The opening 30-minute candle ran 16 points to the target. And then a little bit more, but then it closed just slightly below the target. Then we consolidated sideways. See, the step line crossed. Now, this is very unusual. This tells you just how bullish this market really is. Because even though the step line has crossed, we're not yet seeing that pullback. But if you were tuned in at the beginning, I said as we continue to consolidate sideways, the BVC will rise, and it has. This is what I was looking for it to rise and line up with the long target. So this retracement should kick in any moment now, okay? And of course, those of you who got the new zones this morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you need to be keeping those in mind, as well as the zones from last week. The previous weekly zones have carryover power that you see Sunday night and Monday. Typically by Tuesday, the new zones have taken control. The Dow, we gapped above the zone last night, and then we pulled right back to the VVC. Then we got a leg and a retracement, pullback held. We got a leg. Now the step line crossed, but the market's moving higher. This is very unusual activity, okay? I would be very careful. This market is behaving in a manner that often comes before something that makes this sell-off 2 Fridays ago look like child's play, okay? A week ago, this past Friday, we had this big ugly red candle, but it only made it down halfway to the 20. That's the shallowest possible fib retracement, okay? We only got halfway there. Now, I know we need the retracement. I keep saying that again and again and again. We need at least a 24 to carry us into the year's end. Better a 38. But now what I'm concerned is something's going to happen. Geopolitical, something to do with tariffs, whatever the case may be. And the whole thing's going to implode. And you're going to have a modern day version of Black Monday. And we're not only going to get to the 50, but we're going to get there in one day. Okay? And that's when a lot of people experience a lot of financial pain. But yet, here we are with all this worry, all these tariffs, all this geopolitical tension, soldiers refusing to lay down their rifles, all of that. And we're on the verge of a new all-time historic high. Logic 247 is called that for a reason. The 247 part, it's because it operates 24/7. The logic part is when you look at a chart, you may see chaos. But everything moves and behaves in a very logical manner. Okay? Once you understand technical analysis, once you know how to read a chart, once you understand these indicators, okay? So we're up against resistance at the 50% fib extension. Then that Friday crash, okay? The high that day was, can I get it? Looks like 6806 and a half. Okay, so that's still a ways to go, right? We're up against resistance right now. But at that high, that's where everything came undone. And then we had a 6-day pullback. Now, today, I believe the open is still touching the daily BVC. So we perhaps today we'll see a candle open and close above the BVC. Or if something bad happens, then we see price get below the BVC, the green line. Price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. It's called the BVC. Pullback holds, it holds, it holds. But eventually it trades through, but it's still held because every one of these candles is touching it. Okay? It's when you get this. We were in bearish mode for quite some time. But way back on April 24th, we closed above the BBC for the first time in a long time, right? But we needed this day, April 25th, where we both opened and closed above the BBC. Then we officially went from bear mode to bull mode. And every pullback since then, this one and 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 these and these and even this, I don't know that I've ever seen a 6-day pullback before, but you're looking at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Incredible. So, I'm not a doomsday prophet by any stretch of the imagination. I got more hope and optimism than a man should probably have. That's possible. These look like good times. I'm telling you, they're incredibly dangerous times. So, anyway, looked at the ES and the Dow again. Now, I covered everything in granular detail at the beginning of the broadcast. You can always go to youtube.com/CFRN in about 45 minutes, and you can watch today's entire broadcast in its entirety. There are over 2,900 daily episodes at youtube.com/CFRN. The Russell, we gapped higher, pulled back to the VBC, and what do you know? The pullback held, and the pullback held. And then this morning, the 9 o'clock to 9:30 candle, we hit the long target. And then these highs today, you got to look back to Thursday. There's your market structure right there. Okay. If the Russell were to continue higher from here, then there's your next spot. And then there's your next spot. Okay. Like reading a newspaper or a good mystery novel. Okay. Now, you'll never know what's going to happen next in the market. But you can know with a great degree of probability what the next high probability move is. Now, Logic 247. That's our 24/7, around the clock, E-mini alert service, which we launched a little over 7 years ago. And for those of you that weren't tuned in at the beginning, last week we finished up over 376 weeks. We issued over 20,700 individual handcrafted alerts. Last week we issued 69. 6 never triggered. 8 got stopped out. 13%. And then this week, week 377, Valerie did the recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern because the markets were so flat overnight, only 3 actually triggered. So she'll update it this afternoon, whatever changes have occurred. Okay. Out of the 3, 1 stopped out. So at the moment, it has us at 33% on the week. But again, that's because only 3 triggered, still waiting on the outcome of 11. So that will get updated in the appropriate Telegram channels this evening for you. And then we'll go over them again tomorrow. Okay. So that was the Russell, the NQ. Again, I covered all of this in a granular fashion. You can go watch the video. We had a gap higher open last night on the NQ. Pulled back to the zone. The pullback held. We got a leg and a retracement. Pull back to the BBC held. And then we got another leg. Okay. Now look, the step line crossed and this thing's still trying to climb higher. Okay. That's not natural. That's not normal. So the pullback may be vicious or violent. Just be careful. Here's crude. Crude's actually trying to turn around. See, red and falling has turned to blue and climbing. Where last week's zone here was 56.85/56.90. Okay. We got potential resistance, of course, at the high of the current candle. And then at these highs, right here. And then right here, where blue turned to red. Then here, and here. Then you got to look all the way back to Thursday. That's what the long target's based on. Okay. Short target is based off this, which we hit, and hit, and hit. Oh, Mr. Likely, he calls a lot. Okay, and gold we just covered. It's still consolidating sideways. Silver, is it going to make its move or not? Let's see. One last look at the daily. Okay, the all-time historic high is right here. 68.12 1/4. The all-time historic closing high, okay, 68.03 1/4. And we're at 78.5. Okay. All right. To become a member, email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. Just tell her you want to become a member. That's all you got to do. She'll send you the information you need to get signed up. Once you're all signed up, she'll send you a ton of information. Most of it you won't even know what to do with. You won't even understand what it is. Don't worry, you're going to need it in your learning journey. So create a folder in your email client, and every email that comes to you from Valerie, put it in that folder. I don't know what this is. Put it in the folder. There's just going to come a time you're up working in the middle of the night or on a weekend or on a holiday, and you need something, and you're like, man, I don't have that. Oh, yeah, you do. It's in that folder that you created in your email client. Trust me, we've sent out enough of these packets. We know what needs to be in the packet, so we make sure everybody gets everything they need in that first volley of packets. Okay? Now, once you become a member, you get 2 hours of live training every trading day. It's an interactive environment. On top of that, you also have access to private one-on-one mentoring. All you got to do is ask. The strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. You might be thinking, well, these guys do futures. Man, I wish that worked for stocks or crypto or Forex or ETFs. Well, guess what? It does. Price flows are the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle, just like I showed you today. And I show you every day. And you can go out to youtube.com/CFRN and pick any day at random, and you'll see me. You'll go back a year, go back 2 years, go back 10 years, and you'll see me showing you that price went from support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance. The key is you've got to learn to read the chart so you know where to anticipate the resistance, where to anticipate the support. That's what the Logic 247 alerts are for. Sure, you can trade them, pay for your education, but make sure you use them to learn how to read the chart. Because, well, none of us are going to live forever, right? So there'll come a day when there won't be an alert. Only God knows when that day will be. But when there isn't, you need to be ready. Learn to read the chart. Learn to read the indicators. Then you can learn how to trade. And that's a life skill that no one can ever take away from you once you learn. Well, the market's always changing. It's going up and it's going down. It doesn't matter. Price flow is the same across all markets and all time frames. You'll understand that as you begin the learning process. And as you actually clock it on your own computer and your own screen, and you see it happen again and again, day after day, you'll be like, man, how did I never see this before? Well, you didn't know where to look. Or maybe you didn't know what you were looking for. Once you become a member, not only will you get the Logic 247 alerts, but you'll also get the concierge trade alerts every evening, the second they're published, which is typically 5 minutes before the Globex open. Every Monday morning, you get the weekly trading zones, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They do not change in any way whatsoever. And every Thursday night, you'll be able to attend the members-only workshop. Last but not least, you'll get the golden keys that open all the private channels in Telegram. That is the heartbeat of our community. We run 24/7. We never close our doors. There's always somebody around. You'll have access to the discussion group. You'll have access to the logic alerts, the concierge trade alerts, the weekly trading zones, everything, and then some. Okay. Everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. How low? $5,000. $49.97 to be exact. Now, when you think about how much time and treasure you've spent in your journey to learn how to trade, that's probably a mere pittance. Okay? But this time it's different. Because this time, instead of just somebody handing you some software and a PDF and wishing you all the best, you're going to have somebody there to support you 2 hours every trading day. And even one-on-one mentoring to make sure you get it. Whatever it is you're not getting, you'll get it. Either here, or in the Thursday night workshop. One of the channels that you'll have access to is the weekly workshop channel. Every Thursday night, we record the members-only workshop and we put it in the private Telegram channel. So you'll have access to years upon years upon years of weekly workshops. Do you need to watch them all? No. However, when Valerie posts them, she usually puts a little synopsis below where you can read, some bullet points on what we talked about during that particular workshop. So, you might scan through there and see one that piques your attention, and you might want to watch that one. Okay. But it's a great resource to have at your fingertips. Again, everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. Let's wrap it up with our good word for the day. Now, Friday, we began talking about God's answer to anxiety. There is an anxiety crisis in America today. Big Pharma is very happy about that because they're making a lot of money. So are the doctors, the psychiatrists, the psychologists. Isaiah 26:3. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Dr. James Kennedy wrote, a proper epitaph for most people today would be hurried, worried, buried. Many times we wish we could wash our hands of all our responsibilities and worries. The executive of one small company decided he would. Even though his company was headed for bankruptcy, he decided to quit worrying about it. So he called in his first vice president and said, I've had it with worrying about this company. If you'll take over and handle all my worrying for me, I'll add $50,000 to your salary. Startled and perplexed by this generous offer, and knowing the financial condition of the company, the vice president asked, but where are you going to get an extra $50,000? The boss replied, that's your first worry. William Gladstone, one of England's greatest prime ministers, was a fine Christian man who served the Lord. On the wall of his bedroom hung a plaque embroidered with this text, Thou will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. It was the first thing Gladstone saw when he awoke in the morning and the last thing he saw before retiring at night. There is, right there, the secret of peace. We can have this peace because we know that the one upon whom we've stayed our minds is the same one who works all things together for our good. Is the frantic pace of modern life robbing you of peace today? If so, slow down and refocus on Jesus. Realize He's with you and He's in control no matter what comes your way. Keep your mind on Him and let Him grant you His peace. And that's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell. Well, I said I was going to be able to play the outro today, but it looks like, even though I found the file, it's not going to be able to play it. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this time it's going to play ball. Alrighty then. See you tomorrow.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.